So, John, you had an episode yesterday.
Yes, we did. It was a lot of fun. I had two guys that I've known for half a century or better, who both of them spent most of their entire career in radio, and they have edited together a book of reminiscences of over 50 different people from back in the day in radio in Springfield, and it's called History of Radio in Springfield, Missouri, and it's a neat book. And so I had them on yesterday. We talked about old stories and things that went on in radio back in the day and how they gathered all these stories and so on. And it was very informative, a lot of fun, and it's a good book, really good book. It went on sale today. And so we had Malcolm Huckreedy and Dan O'Day, both of them long histories here in Springfield in radio, all the way back to the 60s.
So how has radio changed throughout the years?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's so automated now. I mean, when in the days when all of us started, it pretty much hadn't changed much since its inception. Everything was mechanical. You had a big loose leaf binder that sat up in front of you that told you exactly what to do and when, and all the commercials were on, you either read them or they were on a tape, and you had to start them and make everything work. And now it's all computerized, and you're just a voice fitting in the little gaps that come up whenever there's not something being played. But back then, I mean, we'd had records that they'd be played so much and be in the weather, and they'd be warped, and you'd have to put little weights on them at certain spots so that they wouldn't skip. And I mean, there's just all kinds of little tricks and things that you did to make it a viable, enjoyable show. And at the same time, it was the way the word got out about everything. If you wanted to advertise, you did the print media and you did radio, and that was the big deal. So a lot of these salespeople were doing big business with businesses of all shapes and sizes, from the smallest to the largest, to get them on the air at the right times and with the right people.
So not only information in terms of like useful and needed info, there was also entertainment.
Absolutely, and it was when you think of now, you've got a cell phone and it tells you everything and it beeps and lets you know and all that. Back in the days, the golden days of radio, I mean, if you wanted to know why is there a siren going somewhere, you tuned in the radio, and they more than likely will have somebody headed that way from one of the main stations in town, and covering that event live, or at least close to live, so that you knew what was going on.
So as much as radio has changed, what sort of stayed the same throughout the years?
I think that the thing that's remained the most solid is that people just they want it to be professional. They want it to be enjoyable and pleasant to listen to. With all the satellite radio stations and things like that, you can pick a genre of music that is the most obscure. I mean, like 24-hour polka music, whatever, and you pick these genres of music, and you can sit in there and be just inundated with the same kind of music. Or you can go another way and listen to everything across the whole spectrum, and that's just based on your personal taste. You can dial into that, and where you used to be, you had a station that played top 40, and you had a station that played country western, you had a station that played big band and so on, and it was much more limiting, where now there's hundreds of stations, each one of them playing a little tiny niche of the music spectrum.
So I understand you also have some entries into this book.
Oh yeah, I was one of the writers of the book. Being in radio, for me, was always a side job. It was always something I did in the evening or on a weekend or whatever, or maybe early in the morning. and did those things because I really enjoyed it and had fun doing it, and still do. That's why I'm doing the show on Tuesdays. So it's a hoot. Yeah.
So what was the genesis of the book? How long did it take? And
Well, it took longer than they had hoped and expected because we all started writing our little pieces back before COVID. And then we were doing it. That was part of the fun of it. It was a bunch of old timers sitting around a big table in a conference room, telling stories, swapping stories, and yeah, that'll work. Put that in. And then we couldn't meet anymore because of COVID. We couldn't collaborate, and so Malcolm and Dan took it upon themselves to kind of take the ball and run with it, and I think they did a very nice job.